If we look at checkout, I'd say convenience is the key, and the amount of businesses, this really irks me, that don't use Apple Pay is just beyond, because it's so easy to use. I mean, my partner's constantly looking over in bed at night when he can hear the ding ding of my Apple Pay, wondering what I'm doing.
Welcome to another episode of Selling Strategies, where today we're with Shopline. Now, if you're an e-commerce business that's reached a certain size, you're selling online, you're selling offline, you're doing social commerce as well, you're going to want to listen to what these folks have got to say, because they could offer a transformative way of operating your business. I'm with Anita Kulkarni, Senior Account Executive at Shopline. So best place to start is just, why don't you just give us that elevator pitch of what it is that Shopline does? Sure.
So thanks for having me, Kieran. So at the core, we're an e-commerce platform, but if you're going to ask me on a deeper level, I would say we're so much more than that. What we offer our retailers is the ability to take back control and ownership of their digital real estate. Back in the day, you used to have an e-commerce platform that was all set up to trade instantly. Now we're so heavily reliant on an app ecosystem. Retailers just don't have control anymore. The control is gone to all the different apps that they have to rely on. And what Shopline has done is create an e-commerce platform with core componencies. So we are actually on the verge, and our product vision is to be a one-stop shop for retailers. And what I mean by that is that we have membership systems, we have loyalty, we even have our own email service provider. One, that's amazing for retailers because they can save a lot of money in total cost of ownership. Two, they also save a lot of time and resources, and they can spend that money and resources elsewhere. But three, I think people don't really understand that the amount of apps that you put on the site and the weight that it holds really affects customer experiences and performance. With such a saturated market in all verticals online, I'm guilty of this as well. I usually have 4 tabs up if I'm making one purchase online. If you're not giving the best performance on site, that customer is just going on to your competitor, and that's a customer lost. So having that native core componency within an e-commerce platform is, it's just pivotal to success.
Really interesting, kind of unique proposition, especially because we talk about it a lot as well in terms of that ecosystem, that app ecosystem, and it's definitely like how e-commerce is evolving. So yeah, really interesting. How do you pitch the pivot to Shopline? Because a lot of businesses will be established on a platform, on an e-commerce platform already. A lot of businesses, a lot of departments are kind of fearful of the migration. It can be quite daunting in terms of like pulling all that data over. So how do you kind of like make that pitch?
So first I want to dispel the myth around data migration and migrating platforms. I think everyone is very worried with the time and resource that go into it. But we have what is called as one-click migrations from platforms. So we can actually upload customer data and product data seamlessly without any manual resource required. We also work with a great infrastructure of agency partners. So if they want any help with data consultancy or anything like that, we have the partner network ready to do that. Also, with the data migration, it's completely seamless and it's safe. There's no loss of data security or integrity there. Another thing that people are worried about is SEO value. And based on the customers that we work with over 600,000 merchants globally. There's been no reduction in search engine rankings or any relevance like that. So don't worry. We have a great support network internally at Shopline as well. So each merchant gets a solution architect, they get an implementation consultant and a merchant account manager. And their job is to make sure that you guys, one, implement seamlessly, and second, that you have the most successful partnership possible. So yeah, don't be afraid.
So I just want to dig a little bit deeper into like your Shopline's customer profile, like in terms of revenue. Where do they sit? If anyone's going to be listening now, where do they sit in terms of revenue, and what are some of their particular business challenges that lead them to a Shopline, for example?
So we have a plan that fits all. So we work with SMBs, and then we also work with true enterprise merchants that are transacting, 100 million plus a year. The biggest challenges that come up to us and we're faced on a daily basis is, one, they want to lower total cost of ownership. So they want to really streamline the operations and have a platform that has native functionalities. Number two, and what I hear a lot, is they sign up to a platform and then as soon as they have signed the contract, they're left in the dark and there's no support there. We, as I mentioned, offer a full suite of support here at Shopline, and we're here to essentially make sure that you guys scale and scale successfully. Another problem that I'm encountering a lot with challenges that merchants are facing is they're just not getting that true data. Personalization is so key to the success of any business. And being able to have true data from all the different channels integrated into the back end is pivotal to be able to segment customers and really offer them a personalized experience.
It was so important, just that data piece as well, because as businesses, we're drowning in data. But the key is kind of how do you interpret that in the right way and have the systems and the tech in place to manage it. Yeah, you've already mentioned and dispelled a myth, so I want to talk about another one, because there's this perception that TikTok, for example, or TikTok Shop is predominantly for younger people, Gen Zers and so forth. But what does the actual data show?
Well, first of all, I'm a millennial and I use TikTok. I'm not going to give you my age, but I'll dispel that straight away. In terms of the stats, I think it still is between 18 and 24 is the higher achiever in terms of who uses it in the demographics. I think it's around 36%. But then the second highest is 25 to 34-year-olds, and then it's only a 3% difference. I'll give you one example of this. So we were with In The Style. They're one of our founding partnerships in the UK. In Black Friday last year, they actually became the number 2 TikTok platform. So they do a lot of collections with the likes of Stacey Solomon, and she is a mum influencer, if you will. And her collections sell out in the matter of minutes through TikTok and through the online store. And her audience is, 25 to 40-year-olds, and they're buying off TikTok Shop. So I think brands need to also be aware that even though it might be a younger generation, it might seem like the Gen Zs and younger generation, it's not. But also your brand needs to plant that seed early on, because I'm seeing loads of legacy brands that my mum uses, for instance, blow up on TikTok. Because they're now cool and fashionable. So planting that seed early on with a Gen Zer, for instance, is going to give you that lifetime value of a customer. And that is so important for a business in this day and age.
Just same thing. You're seeing so many big brands are that I'm speaking to are taking it seriously.
Yes.
They're either already on there or they're kind of planning to get on there, just because, again, of that long-term value of people who are on the platform. Any other common myths that you could dispel?
Yes, I think one that I kind of hear a lot is that price is the most important thing to customers. It really isn't. Customers are savvy and they're looking for more than just a mere transaction with brands. They want to feel heard, they want to feel listened to, and they want to feel more than just a number on a system. So actually really listening to those customers, fostering a deep relationship with them is pivotal. So, offering a discount is great, but offering something that's really personal to that individual is going to get you a high conversion rate, 100%. And that also ties in with loyalty as well. If you're rewarding your customers with loyalty points, that always makes them go back. So there's a few things that you can do around there, but I don't think people should be gung-ho about price. There's so much more to it than that.
I want to talk about two of the pillars of any successful growth strategy. On the one hand, you've got to acquire customers. On the other hand, you've got to retain them. So let's just kind of take in the acquisition side first. How, with sellers on Shopline, how do they need to approach acquisition? Essentially, are there tools that they can use? What sort of tactics do they need to be keeping in mind to maintain that ROI?
In terms of acquisition, if you're a business that prioritizes social proofing, we're the right e-commerce platform for you. We are the only e-commerce platform that has direct integration with the social media giants. And that goes back to the actual acquisition of Shopline by a company called Joy Group, who are the largest live streaming company globally. And they actually power all the technology behind the social media giants like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, which is why we have such deep-rooted partnerships with them. So having access to that data is really powerful for the business, because then you can actually send out direct messages through Instagram. So if a person's liking and commenting on a particular dress, for instance, you can actually send that customer a discount code, or you can send them a message asking them to come to the site and look at other products. There's so much you can do to acquire new customers that way. Because I know that I go on Instagram and I might like a photo, but none of these brands are engaging with me, I don't feel heard, I don't feel listened to, I'm just another like on a photo. But if you then send me a direct message, say, hey Anita, I saw you were looking at this black dress, that is so powerful. And the chances of me actually becoming a customer of yours increases dramatically. So there's so much you can do on social. So another way that you can acquire customers is when a customer goes onto the site, you can have a pop-up saying, put your email in here, get 10% off. I mean, that customer might just sit on that for ages. But then if you then put them into a cadence through your email marketing, which is Smart Push in our case, which is our own ESP, you can then pull all the data on site on what they were searching for. Maybe they were just looking at stuff that were on sale, so maybe they're a budget-friendly customer. And then you can pull all that data into an email with all the different outfits or all the different products they were searching for, and then push that into an email, and it's so more compelling. I mean, if you got an email for a pink dress, I don't know, that might be what you're into, but the chances, the chances of you converting are a lot lower than if someone sent you, a nice white t-shirt, for instance. So really kind of pulling all that data, segmenting the customers into their preferences, their behaviors on site, and then using that in your marketing emails is, really compelling to acquire new customers.
It's something that we're doing as well, just like the segmentation piece is so important. What about the retention side? So obviously a couple of strategies you talked through there in terms of acquiring customers. Are there things that e-commerce businesses can do through Shopline to help retain customers?
Definitely. So obviously segmentation is a big thing because you really need to understand your customers and what they value. But in terms of retention, we have native functionalities, as I mentioned earlier. We have loyalty, we have memberships. So you can really reward those customers. It could be through points, it could be through discounts, it could be through free gifts. It really depends on, as I mentioned, understanding your customers and understanding what value they would perceive as something that would actually make them be retained within the business. Another one that kind of fits into both acquisition and also retention is referral programs. So I'll give you an example of this. David in our office, David Meakin, he got a Whoop band. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a fitness tracker. But basically, he doesn't have to pay anything at all for a subscription cost. It's a subscription-based business. But because he's got so many people in the office signed up to that program, he doesn't have to pay a thing because now he's got 5 people that are actually paying for his subscription for him. And that's also brought in 4 more customers, right? So he's now retained as a customer, but then we've acquired 4 more by using that referral program. There's so much you can do on Shopline. There's 60 core features. Have fun with your customers. If you see those wheels that you have, you can play games, you can get discount codes, you can win rewards. There's so much out there that you can do on Shopline. The world is your oyster, essentially.
Now, you've already mentioned, I just want to talk a bit more about social selling tactics. You've kind of mentioned one there in terms of, reaching out through direct messages on Instagram, for example.
Yes.
That's great. Are there any other things that you found that Shopline customers, that's been quite successful? And how do platforms like Facebook and Instagram compare to TikTok?
So it really depends on the product you're selling and also the people you're selling it to. So Facebook is really good for like community branding and engagement and building that sort of brand outside of your e-commerce platform. TikTok is great for like short, snappy, viral videos, that show your creativity. And Instagram is really good for like shoppable posts and like brand identity. So it really depends sort of who you want to market to and what kind of product you're using. I love Instagram for shoppable Instagram posts because, for example, you could have a tablescape where you have a whole setup of cutlery, you've got your crockery, etc. And someone could be looking for inspiration for a dinner party. And just the ability to have like a button where you click it goes directly through Apple Pay and you've transacted is so easy for it. Convenience is a massive thing for consumers. And having that inspiration and the ability to just click and shop, is great for brands to do. As I mentioned, Facebook is more for building that community, engaging with the customers, and TikTok is really like the short, snappy videos that, you sometimes see these videos and they're nothing much, but then they go viral. What's also great on TikTok is live selling. And there's 2 folds to this. There's a live selling you see where they're just there selling products for like 12 hours a day, which, can create an enormous revenue stream. But there's also those brands that will take you on a live into the warehouse so you can see where the products live. Or if they're a jewelry company, you could take them into the studio and see how things are manufactured. Or you could have a live where you meet the founders. I'm giving all these brands all these ideas. But there's just so much you can do through social media. And what I love about it is it's literally everyone's got access to it, right? It's just a tap away. So people should really focus, I mean, in my personal opinion, on social in this year and throughout, because the way people shop in Southeast Asia compared to the UK, I think it's something like 1 in every 6 transaction goes through some form of social media in Southeast Asia, which is where I'm originally from. And that wave is coming to the Western world, whether we like it or not. And Shopline has a technology advanced compared to everyone else in the market that can actually facilitate that for businesses.
Yeah, it's QVC for the modern age, really.
Exactly. Yeah. You might have seen that lady that was doing all the I think it was in Southeast Asia, where she showed like one product every like 5 seconds. They made an absolute killing. So yeah, social media is where it's at, definitely.
Right, so let's say I'm on Shopline. I've aggregated my multi-channel marketing. I've got my website set up, social media channels, marketplaces, all good. Business is good, sales are going good. But I want to take things to the next level. I want to keep on growing. So what are some of the things that what are some of the growth levers that you'd recommend for people selling through Shopline?
Don't be afraid of internationalization, because that's something that Shopline does really well. As I mentioned earlier, it's not just about opening a market on the back end. We offer what I say is true internationalization. So as I mentioned, we've got 15 offices global, but local support in over 20. So if a business wants to actually open a new market, we have the support infrastructure there to help facilitate that. That's the Shopline support, but also our network of partners that can help you with things like logistics, really understanding trends in that market, because each market needs to be sold to differently. You really need to localize things like promotions. You need to understand what the best payment gateway is in that market. Some places, they only still accept cash on delivery. So you really need somebody in those markets that has that knowledge, and we can provide that for you. Also, Shopline has natively over 37 languages and currencies. We even do left to right translation. And we also use AI as a running theme through the Shopline backend. So the AI will really work to start understanding your brand voice and the way you speak. Obviously, you need the local support to understand kind of the different terminology and people use in that area. But AI will work with you to really sort of localize that and provide your brand voice and understand it and basically be an advocate for your brand in that way.
Might just be valuable walking through specific examples. So I'm a UK seller and I want to start selling in, let's say, Germany, for example.
Yeah.
So what would be, just kind of touch on some of the things you've spoken about there, what would be some of the steps that I would take in order to do that through Shopline?
We would obviously introduce you to our German team, our German Shopline team, who would then set you up with an infrastructure over there and introductions to meet like warehouse management systems, etc., so that you can scale your business from the comfort of your UK-based office.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Shopline integrates with Limworks. Whereas Shopline covers that kind of front-end piece, Limworks manages the back end. So can you just walk us through what some of the benefits are of this partnership?
So what I first would want to say about this partnership is it's like we have a direct integration with Limworks. You're one of our strategic partners. It's so simple to use. It really takes out all the manual element for businesses. You can just add a new sales channel. You can upload product data at whim. There's no sort of manual labor involved in that for the merchant side. Also, the reports are highly customizable. You can really get insight into different areas of the business at ease. You have real-time inventory, so you can actually see directly what your stock levels are doing at any given moment. If you want simplicity, if you want to be able to scale your business operations and also lower operational costs, it's a great tool to use.
Simplicity and scalable.
Yes,
I like those words.
2 keywords, right?
Last question. So I just want if you can give me 3 quick-fire tips for e-commerce businesses, just some like 1% wins that can help them, whether it's across, product pages or checkouts or social selling, anything at all.
Okay, so if we're looking at product pages, I would definitely say implement scarcity tactics. So Things like showing limited stock, or when sometimes you see a banner that says there's only one remaining, or so-and-so bought this, or there's been 250 sales in the last 10 minutes. It really kind of puts the pressure and drives urgency on site. Another one is like cross-selling and upselling. So suggesting complementary products, or when a consumer gets to the checkout, you might suggest more expensive products, or if you're buying a phone, you might offer them insurance or a service-related product. So really make sure that throughout the customer journey, you are maximizing the amount of revenue that you can achieve. If we look at checkout, I'd say convenience is the key. And the amount of businesses, this really irks me, that don't use Apple Pay is just beyond, because it's so easy to use. I mean, my partner's constantly looking over in bed at night when he can hear the ding ding of my Apple Pay, wondering what I'm doing. But really having that easy checkout process is going to be pivotal for your business. When we talk about kind of social, so as I mentioned earlier about like shoppable posts on Instagram, so allowing customers to be able to click a button and buy directly from the post. So if it's a tablescape, click the button and buy the crockery set. Also engaging with your customers through direct messaging. You can also send them direct links to make a purchase, which is a really great way of kind of increasing conversions. One thing I love to see is also like people using user-generated content. So really using their customers as brand advocates, because it really adds that sort of personal touch to selling. And live selling. Live selling is such a great tool to use, and it really allows your customers to interact with you as if they were speaking to you through their TV screen at home.
Okay, that's it. Thanks for coming down and sharing all those amazing insights with us, Anita.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Kieran. And also for any retailers that are listening, we have our Reimagine Summit on the 2nd of October in Steel Yard. It'll be a great way for retailers to meet our existing retailers. There'll be lots of talks, lots of drinks, lots of celebrations. So please get in touch with me if you're interested. I hope to meet you guys there.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It should be.